Great. Thank you, Jesse, and welcome everyone. I just wanted to thank you for coming and let you know that I would really like to guide you through some self-compassion practice later after we talk through a few things and I share some of the teachings and process. I'm wondering if anybody has knows who's if you could check and mute yourself if you have that background noise. There. Great. That feels better. Okay. How many of you are experiencing some difficult feelings or pain or grief in your life right now? Just raise your hand. Okay. How many of you have been through some difficult grief, a loss of a loved one or anything that's been painful earlier in your life? Okay. So is there anyone here that has not had a painful experience with losing someone or what you would consider grief? Okay. It's pretty normal. And what I've learned from experiencing my own process of grief is that it is an opportunity and an opportunity to truly grow and find more about yourself through the process. It's often hard sometimes to allow yourself to really deal with those difficult feelings, but getting through them and on the other side can be a powerful experience. How many of you could attest to that? Getting through them and finding something on the other side that's pretty powerful. Okay. So that's a lot of what I want to share with you tonight is the toolbox of self-compassion and mindfulness that probably most of you have experienced some mindfulness practices or you wouldn't be here. But I wanted to expand on why self-compassion can really be the way to get into grief in a healing and soothing way instead of something that becomes more suffering for you, more difficult. And self-compassion is an opportunity to learn how to be in that softer place with yourself. I know many of you have experienced, along with me, many difficult changes in our world over the last 2.5, 3 years with the pandemic, the major shifts that are happening with climate change and how they're impacting each and every one of us, and the political turmoil and the heaviness of all the shifts and changes that are happening in our society, our capitalistic society as we know it. Things are really shifting and in a very dramatic way. And I don't know about you, but it seems like every day there's more that is coming at us. And so the tools of learning how to work with difficult things is absolutely imperative right now for all of us. So I wanted to just share some of this, the knowledge of the history or the science and the process of how self-compassion came about and why we do it. And then I want to help you experience a little bit more of it. So science about the brain and all the research that has been done in my world as a psychotherapist and as a positive psychologist, helping people move through and improve their lives. That's been a lot of my practice that I've done over the last 30 years, is helping people find wellness and health and happiness. And a lot of the research has shown us how our brains are so much designed to bring us into negative cycles. our brain keeps trying to solve problems for us. And in that process, we go into we can easily go into negative cycles because our brain is just constantly trying to solve problems. And you all know that, and you all know that we often react more to negative stimuli than we do to positive. So in a negative world where we're struggling so much with so many things coming at us, the most important thing is to be able to stop reacting and learn how to be more in a positive state. So that's where mindfulness comes in. How many of you have a mindfulness practice right now? Great. Excellent. So you know that there's some benefits to working with the mind in mindfulness practice, and how mindfulness can help us really work with bringing ourselves out of that fight, flight, and that reactionary place, and learning how to be in a more gentle, calm, and balanced place in our lives, and how to bring ourselves back to that. So a lot of the experience that I've had over the years has been helping to manage depression and the reactionary cycles of negativity that happens when we are triggered, and when we are caught in those things, in the way that our mind picks up things in our environment and tells us, oh, we got to solve this, we got to deal with this, we got to handle this. So probably most of you are here today because you want more tools to work with some of that. And a lot of self-compassion really ties in with mindfulness in a very unique way, in that self-compassion and mindfulness have this embodied dance that happens. And because self-compassion is a way of bringing in the body, I'm going to share with you how we begin to start loving ourselves through our body and finding that the love and warmth and compassion there. And that helps us create that compassion in our practice. So a lot of one of the things that happens when we are hit with something negative is that we contract, we close down our heart, and we, maybe sometimes want to strike back. Negative stuff triggers us. So that's that tendency to react and to protect against painful and uncomfortable experiences. What a lot of the research has shown with self-compassion is that when we move to the focus of the body and start working with how the body is reacting, we can shift that faster. So I want to start with just a check-in exercise with you to get you into your body a little bit and share with you, let you have a little bit of an experience of this embodied experience of being in your mind, in your body, instead of in your mind or outside, more triggered. So this experience will help you see how your body responds when you're thinking, and how your body responds when you're having emotions. So let's start with just dropping into your breath for a moment, finding a comfortable seat, and just dropping into your breath. You can close your eyes or you can just look down, but finding yourself in your space and just looking inward. And just tuning now into the rise and fall of your breath. Noticing the inhale and noticing the exhale. Allow yourself to just drop gently into the breath, how its rhythm is going slowly and more slowly, letting it drop into a gentle rise and fall, just your natural breathing pattern. And as you sit here, scan through your body and notice how's your body right in this moment. Notice any tension, relaxed places, calm places, restless places, tired places. With each breath, dropping deeper into noticing and allowing your awareness to float through your body gently and slowly. And just feel your body settling deeper into your chair. Maybe feel the back against the back of your chair, where your backs of your legs touch the cushion. Begin to notice any thoughts moving through your body. That's right, any thoughts. How does your body show you you're having thoughts? What might be shifting as you're thinking? Just notice. Make note of what you're noticing. What do you see in your body as you think? And now just let your body open a little more deeply. Let those thoughts drift off by consciously focusing more deeply into your skin, into your legs and your arms, your shoulders, the skin around your face. More deeply dropping your awareness, maybe deeper into your skin, muscles to bone. Just letting yourself drop deeper with curiosity and awareness to see what feelings might be lying there deeper in your body. Just watching without judging what happens as you notice all the feelings that are here right now. And see if you can open up more breath and more space to allow whatever is here to be here. Breath, opening, allowing. Notice how your body knows what's here and what it senses and feels by showing you all these sensations. Can you feel and track the sensations of those feelings? At any moment, this feels like too much. Just sit and allow your breath to be your guide and to nurture you in this space. Allow the feelings to keep flowing and allow your breath to make more room for them. And now, one more thing. Open up as much curiosity as you can, however you do that, towards these feelings right now. Be curious about all of them. And let that curiosity flow and circulate all around you, all through you. And let it end at your heart. Breathing in and breathing out. Deep curiosity. And gently now bring yourself back to just sitting with your breath, allowing everything to just be right here in this moment. And then you can slowly open your eyes and come back to our meeting. Just noticing how you're doing, how that practice was for you. And a couple questions if anyone would like to respond. How was that for you? What did you notice? Anybody want to respond? You may also respond to the chat by just putting in a word if you'd like to do that.
Donna, I can report that I have a very active monkey mind.
Okay. And you noticed that was happening with the thoughts. Thank you. And did you notice anything more as we moved into the feelings?
When I focused on the feelings, the monkey thoughts sort of went into the background because the embodiment sort of took over. And it was a very interesting shift.
All right. That's really great. I'm glad to hear that happened for you. Did anyone else have something similar or anything else that you wanted to share? Thank you. How did the curiosity change or not change things? Anybody want to share about that? Yes, go ahead. Miranda, did you want to share?
I was waving to my neighbor who just walked past, but I can answer your previous question.
Sure, go ahead.
Sometimes when I actively try to tap into feelings, it sort of feels like there's not a lot there, but it's not that they're never there. It's just they sort of rear their heads at unpredictable moments. That's how it feels. So trying to get there, sometimes things feel a little blunted or muted.
Okay. That's a really good point, that when we try, sometimes that trying gets in our way of actually letting us experience it naturally. Yeah. And sometimes guided meditations are hard because that creates that trying. So the reason I brought in the curiosity was to help create more compassion into the mix. Curiosity leads us to compassion. And when you think about that experience of being curious, it is a heart opener. Curiosity takes us into an expanded view of things. Anytime we turn towards something with curiosity, we are moving towards it with an opening. And that creates warmth and a caring attitude. And that is compassion. So the definition of compassion is bringing care to something that is challenging, and bringing in any care to ourselves, bringing in care to our practice, is bringing in that curiosity and that openness. So it's very easy to shift your attitude into compassion and caring, and that takes you deeper into your practice and deeper into yourself and deeper into whatever you're curious about. So that's a powerful tool, that curiosity, that attitude shift. So that's the first piece of it. When we are dealing with something that's difficult, lots of feelings for many people is difficult. Lots of feelings is often hard for anyone. How do we open to lots of feelings and not harden or be fearful, and therefore bypass the opportunity to experience them more deeply? This is the challenge, right? This is the challenge. So this embodied dance is what we're working with, and I'm sharing with you how to do it. So as we turn towards something and activate that new attitude, that brings along that attitude of caring, brings to the next place, which is allowing. Tara Brach talks about the two wings of mindfulness: noticing and allowing. When we actually activate an attitude of caring about what is there, we activate more energy, and our muscles and all of everything behind our mindfulness gets more powerful. Our mindfulness gets more muscles to it. And more of our brain body is awakened and engaged. So we're softening our approach. That's what self-compassion is helping us do. Soften our approach instead of, oh my God, this is very hard. This is scary. This is difficult. That is the opposite. What we want to do is soften our approach to it. And that takes letting ourselves gently come into an attitude of caring and curiosity. Okay, so we go in with the attitude of caring and curiosity, and the next lubricant is to soften our hearts to what we're feeling. Compassion, again, as I said, is concerned with the alleviation of suffering. Actively giving care to ourselves with an attitude of kindness and curiosity is softening us. Many of you have heard of you've probably heard of the researchers of the compassion, in the compassion field, who have taken the Buddha's teachings of the Brahma Viharas, where the Buddha actually studied how to bring more compassion into our heart, and brought us these wonderful practices of loving kindness and compassion, mudita, joy, and the loving kindness or metta practices, the one that most people have experienced. These practices have been studied by several generations of mindfulness teachers. And one of the biggest ones is Kristen Neff and her partner, or her colleague, Chris Germer. And I studied with them at the Center for Mindfulness in San Diego, just because I really wanted to understand the power of this self-compassion. I had practiced loving kindness practices and metta practices early on in my practices with insight meditation and Buddhism, and I realized there was a softening that was happening to my heart. How many of you have had that experience of a loving kindness practice where you really felt like your heart was softening? Yes. It really works. The Buddha was amazing about how he learned how to work with his body and bring that compassion forward in these carefully designed practices. So, of course, we in the field of psychology have wanted to get more to the heart of how do we bring and embody these practices more into our work, into our practice. So Kristen Neff has done some amazing research. Welcome. Come and listen, those of you that are joining us. Kristen Neff has introduced 3 elements of compassion. Hi there. Richard, I'm gonna mute you. Okay. And those 3 elements of compassion for self and other, the first one is mindfulness, which is what we just said, noticing and allowing something to be here. When you're in pain and you're struggling with something, if you aren't even aware that you're in pain or you're struggling, you can't really do anything about it except just be in it in this very helpless and painful way. But if you use mindfulness to say, oh my gosh, I'm suffering right now, this is hard, that's a very important first step, to name it, right? And when you actually name it, you actually ground yourself in the awareness of your mind saying this is pain, and it actually eases the suffering. So the first step is mindfulness. The second step is noticing that this is a human condition that every human being has. Every human being has pain. Every human being goes through difficult moments and experiences suffering. So as soon as you notice that you're in pain, the second step is, I'm human. This can happen to anyone. Immediately that expands your view, and you're no longer in this pity party about yourself. You're all of a sudden realizing, oh my gosh, this is a human experience I'm having. This is normal. The third step is really the key. And the third step is to bring kindness, to actually actively bring in kindness. And you can do that by bringing your hands to your heart. You can do that by bringing in what we call soothing touch, or holding, just in any way, giving yourself comfort. It might just be stopping and breathing. and saying to yourself, what would be kind right now? What would feel kind in this moment? So those 3 steps, Kristen Neff has put into a practice. And I want to share it with you again, because this is something you can use anytime that you are finding yourself in a difficult moment, whether you're having big emotions or whether you just hurt yourself and you're in pain, or anything that happens that causes you to feel, immediate struggle. These 3 steps will immediately bring you out of that fight or flight and into a warm, comforting place where you're giving yourself care. So let me repeat those 3 steps for you. And this is called the self-compassion break. Just like we have a pause practice, this is a break, a self-compassion break practice. So imagine right now anything that is happening right in your life that you might be struggling with, or something that happened today, or anything that you're still upset about. And just let yourself notice that distress. And then just gently, you can bring in some soothing touch, which is another practice of self-compassion. However you feel it. Sometimes people put their hand over their heart. Some people put one hand over the belly and one hand on the heart. Just explore for a moment what feels like you're bringing in care to yourself. The soothing touch is really powerful. It slows you down, it warms you up, and it soothes you. So soothing is very important. So now, as you bring your hand to your heart or wherever you feel soothing, think of that situation and immediately notice the pain, the struggle, wherever it is in your body. And now take the first step by saying, this is painful. This hurts. This is stressful. I'm really hurting here. Ouch. Okay, now take it to the next step and say to yourself, it's natural, it's human to be in pain. It's human to have this struggle. I'm just normal human being having a struggle. I'm okay. I'm human. Just notice how that changes things. I'm not alone. This is normal to have struggles in my life. And then now the next step and the final step, close your eyes and just notice what would feel like being kind to yourself right in this moment. What do I need, or what would feel like I'm being kind? This step of bringing in kindness is something we sometimes have to practice. So check in. What is it that helps you feel kind to yourself right now? And maybe make a note of it. We're so good at beating ourselves up and pushing ourselves through things, right? Being kind is a gentle, warm kiss, a gentle, warm embrace. That's what we all need. Okay. So I'd like to give you a chance to just talk with someone else about your experience right now of how this softening and soothing is feeling to you. And so I'm going to just ask if I'm going to just put you in some rooms and see if you have a few minutes to talk about this. Okay, hold on. There we go.
Donna, I'm going to have to break out pretty soon, so if you could leave me out of the rooms.
Okay, I'll do
Thank
my
you.
best. Let's see, we've got 6, 7. Okay. All right, have a few minutes to talk about this experience with your partner, and feel free to share this experience of self-compassion that you're currently having.
Donna, would you like, there's an invitation for me to join a room. Would you like me to join that? Or is that just because?
Let me see if we have, I think you're okay. I don't know whether Larry's going to drop out, but if he does, it's still 2 people in that room, so we're okay. You're okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Well, the breakout rooms are the hardest part for me. It's going okay. I'm completely off script, which is fine. It's just, I just like to feel it. I hate to read notes.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I'm here and available if you need me.
Thank you. I think we're going okay. People are participating, and we'll see I think they need a chance to talk about what's happening.
Yeah, great. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, welcome back. Hi, Lori. Welcome back. Hi, Richard. Welcome back. Rachel, welcome. How was that? Yes. Okay, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, I hope you had a chance to share with a partner a little bit of how the self-compassion is working and what you're noticing. And I'm wondering if anybody has any questions or any concerns as we move on into working with grief. Any questions and or comments about this last part and your experience?
If I can, I would say, as I shared with the folks in my group, I was aware of Kristen Neff a few years ago and took a short class on her stuff. And it's very easy to forget to be compassionate to yourself.
Yes.
So I found it very helpful. I found the very short process much more helpful than I would have expected. So I do appreciate it.
Great. And that's the thing, is we need to remember to do this. This is a very simple practice. And I can get a handout to all of you if you'd like one. But this is something you should use every time you're in a place of feeling stressed or struggle. And the more you practice it, the more you can begin to incorporate this gentle kindness to yourself. Now, this is the thing about Kristen Neff's research, and this is what really changed my whole approach when I started really understanding this approach to working with my feelings. When you bring kindness and gentleness and this soft approach to solving problems and dealing with things that are difficult in your life, you make much more progress than when you try to beat yourself up and try to change yourself that way. Her research has shown that this kind approach is much more productive. And so why not? Why not shift and begin to start doing and being kind to ourselves? Now, it's absolutely essential if you want to go deeper into your grief and your pain and begin to do the deeper healing that we all are on this path to do. And I believe that that the purpose of me writing my memoir is to basically share with people how doing your own personal work through your grief and moving through your grief to the other side is probably the most transformative thing you can do in your life. It takes you to a new place, a new rebirthed, a new transformed you that is, you are more whole and fully available to yourself and all of who you are than ever before. So it's absolutely important that we learn how to do this grief work. And that's really my life's work, is helping people really learn how to heal themselves and move through the difficult stuff that's holding us back inside and that's keeping us stuck, because it doesn't have to stay there. And we have all the tools that we could possibly have to move through it now. So let me share a little bit of some of how this can be helpful and how this path can happen for you. So grief, that's a big word, right? I want to read a poem that really depicts what I believe grief is in the process of grieving. Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower and you the bell. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like? Such intensity of pain. If the drink is bitter, turn yourself into wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses. The meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. And to the rushing water, speak, I am. This is the voice of grief. Grief is the opposite of love, and love brings us back to grief, and grief brings us back to love. It's a continuous circle. Grief is the natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering that we feel when something or someone we love is taken away. It's the pain of loss. It's the pain of loss, and it's overwhelming. And you may experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions when you're grieving, from shock to anger to disbelief to guilt to profound sadness. And sometimes the complexity of grief can cause us to shut down because it scares us. It's so big. But when we do this, when we shut it down, and when we get scared, we cut off our ability to process and digest our grief in a healthy way. And when our hearts are hardened against the pain and we're bracing against it, we no longer have the ability to open to it. And the process of grief is not linear. Samuel Kumar, a PhD, wrote in his book, Grieving Mindfully, that he conceptualizes grief as a free-form, curving line that often takes the shape of a spiraling staircase. That's the visual illustration of how unpredictable and repetitive grief can be. The ups and downs in the spiral can be triggered by certain people or situations not related to one incident or another, in and out of different timelines at different times throughout your life. Emotions can repeat or disappear quickly, only to return again later. And every person's grief experience is unique. So comparing your grief to someone else isn't always helpful. It's more like riding your own wave or traveling down and up your own spiral staircase in your own way, with your own compassion container holding you. And so I teach that this self-compassion container that you just experienced developing in your own self-compassion practice is how you hold yourself as you go down and through your grief process. Bringing in kindness, curiosity, self-compassion includes self-forgiveness. It's all about bringing in kindness and what brings care to you, not harsh, difficult pushing, not hardness, softness. Think about all the messages you have gotten in your life about how people treat you or you've been treated, or you have felt around people who are dealing with difficult things, more people get tight and protected rather than opening up and being warm and opening, right? And what you also probably know, if you've been through your own grief struggles and come out the other side, is that your compassion container grows much more deeply after you've been through your own struggles and you've faced them and you've processed them. That's what we all need, is that deeper level of compassion to hold each and every one of us and to offer our hearts to the world. Hence the title of my retreat, Healing Yourself and Healing the World. It all goes together. So the other researcher that I wanted to share with you about before I tell you a little bit more about going into your grief was Paul Gilbert. And Paul Gilbert really worked on how the brain changes with compassion. He says that compassion is a way to organize the mind by cultivating a compassionate approach to ourselves and training the brain. So actually, if you do these compassion practices, you can train your brain to be more compassionate. So the researchers are really going for it and showing us that we can shift how we are with our approach to how we see ourselves and how we treat other people and how we think by working more deeply with compassion practices. Paul Gilbert also noticed that shame blocks our ability to connect with each other because shame hardens us again. So shame is a very important part of what is in our grief containers and our pain inside of us. We're all holding on to a lot of pain and shame as a result of our experiences in our life. And those shame parts are the ones that we need to also approach as we do our grief work. So it all works together. The softening and soothing and allowing that we do with self-compassion helps us to go down into our grief and work with it. So let me talk about how we do that. There's many strategies that a lot of therapists and teachers have taught about how to work with difficult emotions. I want to read you a poem called The Guest House by Rumi. And Rumi, way back in his time, gives us a lot of hints about how we can actually approach and slowly get closer to these painful and difficult emotions. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of all of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He or she may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. For each, be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Now, sometimes we aren't really ready to have our homes violently swept from its furniture, and it would not be safe to let a visitor in. But the art of self-compassion is to incline gradually towards emotional discomfort. And we can do this in stages. So this poem actually shows the 5 stages of acceptance for how we begin to work with those violent sorrows that are outside our door. So the first stage we all notice and know about is resistance, struggling against what comes, blocking the door and yelling at the visitor to go away and pretending not to be home. That's resistance. That causes a lot of pain in us, and it makes our pain deeper and more struggle, right? But sometimes we just have to resist. So then the next stage is exploring, turning towards the discomfort with curiosity, blocking the door and yelling through the door to see who has arrived, but still being curious because we're turning towards it. That's exploring. The third stage is actually tolerating, safely enduring, holding steady, asking the guest to remain in the foyer of the house, come in, but stay right here, slowly tolerating. The fourth stage is allowing, letting the feelings come and go, allowing the guests to move around the house if it feels safe, and allowing them to slowly get closer to you, or allowing you to slowly get closer to them. And the final stage is actually befriending the guest, the visitor. Seeing the value in all of this experience, how no matter whether it's painful, uncomfortable, however it is, allowing yourself to see the value and sitting down to listen to what the guest has to say. So in the case of working with a difficult emotion, we might be able, as we actually befriend a difficult emotion, we might be able to uncover an unmet need that we have had our whole lives. And we might be able to meet it with our compassionate, self-compassionate approach and our kindness. We actually can heal ourselves if we allow ourselves to befriend these difficult emotions and uncover what they're holding. So each stage allows us to release a little bit of our emotional resistance that sometimes is important to have that emotional resistance and to work through the stages safely for each of you, for each emotion. There's a reason to have stages because each of us needs to approach a difficult emotion at the right pace for us. And that goes back to our self-compassion, being tuned into what feels kind and what feels softening and what feels gentle, and letting our self-compassion container show us what the next step should be. So those are the strategies, those steps of how we might be thinking about how we might want to approach something really difficult. That's grief inside of us. The first and second stage, someone's asking, let me repeat the first and second stage. The first stage is resisting, struggling against it, pushing it away, keeping it out on the porch, shutting the door. blocking the door and yelling at the visitor to go away. That's resisting. And the second stage is exploring, turning towards the discomfort with curiosity. And that's what you've already done tonight, is turning towards something with curiosity and peeking at it, making a little room for it. Okay. So the next strategy I want to share with you is, again, as you keep finding what feels kind and keep noticing how to keep yourself more softened. When you notice that you're reaching a place where you're resisting again, and you're getting more into that pushing or that more tight pushing in your body, you're pushing too hard. You're not being kind enough. And so that's where we want to tune into your body and let your body help you. How do we do that? All of you are practice mindfulness. That's how we go into the body and how we notice whether we're pushing too hard. Pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to your body and your breathing. When you're pushing, your body will tell you. It will not feel good. When you're softening and soothing and allowing yourself to go into the painful emotion, it's slow, it's gradual, and it's gentle. How's this going? Anyone have any questions so far? Is everyone okay? Okay, the next little step before we actually work more deeply with this is labeling emotions. So labeling is a way to identify and validate an emotion. So you're all of a sudden noticing, I'm in pain, there's something going on here, I'm really feeling as something really difficult. Maybe you're in mindfulness practice, maybe you're taking a walk, maybe you're triggered by somebody talking to you, and all of a sudden you're getting a painful emotion. The first thing to do is to bring mindfulness to it and notice something's happening, this is painful. The second thing to do is to label it. See if you can name what feeling you're having. Name it, because when you name it, you begin to tame it. Sometimes when I'm getting triggered or having a grief reaction, acute grief is hitting me, I have sensations that just feel like really intense pain in my heart, and I feel tingling sensations coming through my body. And it happens in mindfulness practice too. And I'm sure some of you have that. It's your body letting you know that you're having an emotion. And it's a sensation. So if I name that sadness, or if I name that fear, then I'm already working with it and I'm already being kind to it, because I'm accepting it. I'm moving in through those stages already of accepting and allowing it to be here. Right? So naming what's happening and noticing it in your body are really key ways to start being self-compassionate and allowing it to be here and working with it. You're already moving through those 3 stages. Then as you label it, it helps you unstick from it. It helps you separate from the feeling and use the rest of you to be compassionate towards it. Have you ever heard of that? People say, a part of me is so mad. A part of me is so angry at you. Or maybe you just say, I'm just mad at you. Really, it's only a part of you. The rest of you is available to be here and hold you in compassion. So it's important to disentangle from that difficult feeling by naming it and allowing it and taming it, naming it and saying, oh, that's anger. Oh, that's fear. And as soon as you name it, you free yourself to be separated from it enough that you can work with it. So there's been lots of research and there's lots of tools around how when we name and tame a feeling, the brain structure settles down and the amygdala becomes less active and less likely to trigger a stress reaction in the body. So we can actually soften and soothe ourselves by naming and taming the feeling when we feel it. We're shifting our brain. There's a difference between using empathy to validate how we feel versus just labeling an emotion in a monotone voice. For example, instead of saying, this is sadness, this is anger, what would be much more helpful is to be gentle in, oh, I'm feeling sadness. Oh, I'm frightened. Notice the difference in how that feels when you give yourself that kindness and that caring around how you say it to yourself. Again, it's the gentleness that brings you to that softer place. So you're disentangling and unsticking yourself from the difficult emotion enough so that you can actually address it with the rest of you. And that's where your heart and your self-compassion container comes in. Because the more you practice self-compassion and the more you bring in soothing touch and warm, comforting emotions to yourself and this gentleness, the more you are able to address your difficulty with that emotion, with that gentleness, because you've practiced it. Okay? So that's why we want to practice self-compassion. So I'd like to give you another final example and an opportunity to practice working with a difficult emotion using self-compassion. And if you'd like to, let's take just a stand-up break and let our bodies have a moment to shake, relax, move around, work with whatever's here so that you can actually bring some compassion and gentleness to your body. Take some deep breaths, some deep belly breaths. Maybe feel some grounding by standing on the floor and really feeling the presence of yourself in your body right now, grounding yourself into your feet into the floor, breathing and grounding, feeling the breath all the way up through your body from the top of your head all the way down to the bottoms of your feet, and feeling the strength of who you are in this moment. You have the capacity to hold and be with everything using your breath and your body. Our bodies have the capacity to help us process everything that we feel, anything, any emotion that comes to us. Our bodies are here to help us digest it. And we must allow our bodies to do that. And that's what the embodiment practices of self-compassion help you do. When we get stuck in our minds, that circumvents our ability to bring it down into our bodies. So bringing in soothing touch is the first step. When you feel like your mind is going into trying to figure it out, trying to solve it, trying to deal with the pain or struggle that you're having, slowly bring yourself into your body by bringing in soothing touch. So right now, find a way to bring in some touch to your body and find a way to feel grounded in your breath and in your body. Beautiful. If you're not feeling like you want to do a deeper practice, it's fine with me to just listen. But I would like to know who is going to participate. And I would like to check in with you afterwards and just make sure everything feels okay as we complete this practice. So we've got Richard and we've got Miranda and Anne. And Lori, are you going to join us? Great. Okay. And Jane, what, Jay? Tell me your name again.
Me, I'm Anne.
Anne. Oh, Anne, right. I got you. Okay, great. Thank you.
Jennifer.
I have a question. Can you explain a little more about what we'd be doing and then I can decide?
I'm going to do that. Thank you. I'm going to take you through a practice called Soften, Soothe, and Allow. And this is an informal practice. It's an opportunity to practice labeling emotions and practice using the softening and soothing of self-compassion with a difficult emotion or feeling in your body. I don't want you to do this with something very painful. I want you to do it with something that's maybe a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10 of something difficult, okay? I don't want you to do it with something that's major in your life right now, because this is just an opportunity to learn this practice, okay? And you'll be asked to bring to mind a current problem in your life that you can use in this practice that brings you some discomfort. And we'll find where that is in your body and we'll bring self-compassion and soothing to it in your body. So we'll work with a difficult emotion as it appears in your body using self-compassion practices. Does that make sense? Okay. And if anything comes up that feels too difficult, feel free to close. That means to not participate and to go into your own meditation practice, to turn off your video or whatever you need to do. But I don't believe that I think it will be fine for all of you to experience this with something that's not a huge major thing, but something that is a discomfort to you right now that's happening in your life. Any questions? Sound okay?
Yeah, Donna, just any idea when we're ending? I have to be somewhere at 7:30, so I should.
We are ending at
Yeah.
7:30.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And I'll be around for questions after that.
Okay.
Okay. Find a comfortable position, sitting or lying down, and you'll want to be as comfortable as possible. And then close your eyes or lower your eyes and take 3 really deep, relaxing breaths. Just allow yourself to totally relax into your body in this moment. Feeling the rise and fall of the breath, letting the natural rhythm rock you gently, breathing in and breathing out. Just being the breath. noticing, allowing, being with the breath. It's always there for you to nurture and hold you. And now place your hand on your heart or another soothing place, wherever it feels comforting. And this reminds you that you are in this room and that you are worthy of kindness in this moment. And now just recall a mild to moderately difficult situation that you are in right now. Perhaps a health problem, stress in a relationship, or a loved one in pain. Don't choose a very difficult problem and don't choose a trivial problem, but a problem that can generate stress in your body when you think of it. And now clearly identify the situation. Who was there? What was said? And what happened? So as you begin to relive this situation, notice if any emotions arise within you. And if so, see if you can label the emotion or emotions that are coming up. Anger, sadness, grief, confusion, fear, longing, despair. If you are having more than one emotion, see if you can find the strongest emotion associated with this situation and use that one for the exercise. Just pick the strongest emotion that is arising and label it. Now, repeat the name of the emotion to yourself in a gentle, understanding voice, as if you were validating for a friend what they might be feeling like. That's longing. That's grief. Validate your emotion for yourself in a gentle way. Now begin to expand your awareness to your body as a whole. And recalling this difficult situation again, scan through your body for where you feel it most easily. In your mind's eye, sweeping your body from head to toe, stopping where you can sense a little tension or discomfort. Just feeling what is feelable in your body right now. And now, if you can, choose a single location in your body where the feeling expresses itself most strongly. Maybe it's a point of muscle tension or an achy feeling or a heartache. And when you feel it and begin to notice it, gently incline your body and your mind towards that spot. Turn towards it with curiosity. Now, softening into that location in your body, letting the muscles soften, letting them relax as if in warm water. Softening, softening, softening. Remember, we're not trying to change the feeling. We're just holding it in a tender way. Softening a little around the edges. And now soothing yourself because of this difficult situation. Possibly using your hand over the part of your body that feels uncomfortable and letting the warmth and gentle touch of your hand and letting kindness flow through your hand into your body. Maybe even thanking your body as if it were the body of a beloved child. Soothing, soothing. And are there some comforting words that you might need to hear? If so, imagine that you had a friend who was struggling in the same way. What would you say to your friend? I care deeply about you. I'm so sorry you feel this way. Can you offer yourself a similar message right now? And finally, allowing the discomfort to be here, making room for it, releasing the need to make it go away. Allowing yourself to be just as you are, just like this, if only for this moment. Softening, soothing, and allowing. Softening, soothing, and allowing. And now just letting go of this practice and focusing on your body as a whole in this time and space. Allowing yourself to feel whatever you feel and to be exactly as you are in this moment. And as you are ready, you can gently open your eyes and come back. So I hope that you were able to find some comfort in being with your difficult emotion in this practice today. Some ability to hold a soothing and gentle embrace. Maybe you didn't get to the befriending stage yet, but you made some progress with the first 2 or 3 stages, possibly. Anyone want to share? Were you able to find a label for your emotion?
I will. I thought it was an interesting practice,
Good.
and I was easily able to find a label. And I felt some comfort at the end. So
Excellent.
that was good.
Very good. Thanks for being so courageous.
I was having trouble getting away from my big issue
Uh-huh.
and focusing on something smaller.
Uh-huh.
That
I'm
was
sure
hard.
that would be hard.
Nothing else matters. So I was having trouble like trying to find something
Is there a way?
minuscule
Is
to
there,
me, minuscule to think about.
yeah. How was it to label the emotion?
Once I figured out something to think about outside of my big event, it was easy.
Okay. I'm sorry, that was challenging. I can imagine that's hard when you have something big that's right there.
Yeah.
If we were working one-on-one, we'd do it a little bit differently, and I'd
Mhm.
help you through that one. But thanks for working tonight with
Yeah.
this.
I worked really hard to try to find something. I'm like, oh my gosh, what could I? It took me a while to get going, but I finally found something.
How was the experience of just softening and hanging out with it? How was
Yeah,
that?
it was good. It was work related, so it helped. It helped, like you said, soften it and rethink it and look at it different. So
Yeah,
I just struggled at the beginning trying to find something.
yeah, I understand completely. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, with Miranda.
I can relate where there's a big thing going on that I can relate where there's a big thing going on. I had trouble or not trouble. I had an easy time choosing a different thing to focus on. But the experience that I had was that even though I'd found this other thing that I wanted to think about, the big thing was rearing its head and intruding. So that was insight too, that it's like, oh, it makes it harder to deal with other stuff.
Well, both of you now have indicated or alerted your systems to this process. And so you'll be able to start working with the bigger issue using more of the soften, soothe, and allow process because you've explored it, you know, and it's that's one way to get out to get from the door into the house with these difficult emotions and processes. Thank you for sharing that. Richard, do you want to? Oh, yes, Anne. Lori, I'm sorry, Lori.
I found both when you described it and also during that exercise that the tolerating state was really helpful for me.
Good.
But I guess it was that thing of not pushing too hard and just being in my body and just paying attention to what was going on with my body. That was helpful.
Wonderful. Yes, our bodies are so wise and they have so much information for us. And it's a very powerful way to begin and stay with what our bodies are showing us. And our minds want to take us away from it all the time. And that's a lot of the fear too that happens in our mind, and then it just takes us away immediately from going back down into the body. The body knows how to process everything. We just have to trust it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Well, I would love to share. I'd love to talk with any of you more. I would like to end where we are tonight so that people can move on with their evenings. But I do offer my retreat in October. I'd love to share with you more about what we do at our retreat and how we work with these tools. And also any questions that you have about what came up for you or anything you'd like support, we can turn off the video and we turn off the recording and go, go into your questions. So thank you all for participating tonight and being courageous and jumping into really learning this embodiment dance of self-compassion and mindfulness. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed working with you all and talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.